Hey guys, welcome to our podcast, Why We Ballroom, hosted by Ricky Taylor Dubavik and myself, Dan Spach.
Hi, guys. This is episode 2. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about how ballroom changed us, how it influenced our personality, our lives, and just our experience and how it changed us in general. And this is part 1 of episode 2. And this is going to be all about Dan's experiences.
First, I wanted to wish everyone happy holidays. I hope everyone's doing fine, staying safe, staying at home, seeing their loved ones, family, friends. Happy holidays, and don't get sick. Just for me, don't get sick. Okay, let's get into this. First, let's talk about traveling. Once I got into ballroom, I would say I have traveled a lot. I have visited so many countries on my way to certain competitions. I I have visited Blackpool, and on my way to Blackpool, I visited Ireland and Portugal, and I got to experience their culture. I got to see the beautiful sightings there, and I definitely recommend going there and learning about their culture, learning about how they live, and just seeing the places in general. I think it just stays in your memory and it's just a nice thing to talk about or think about or just have on your bucket list for the future. Next, I wanted to talk about discipline that our coaches teach us. For example, my coach, when I first came to him, he first taught me how to dress. First lesson that I ever had with him, he sat us down and explained that we have to come to class, group class, private class, properly dressed. At first, it was just a dress shirt, a black dress shirt, ballroom pants, and of course, shoes for the guys, and just a black leotard and a proper skirt for the girls. Then it kind of weaved off to leggings for the girls and just a black shirt for the guys. But I think both are acceptable depending on how you feel that day. If you're practicing, for example, technique, I think leggings for the girls would be fine, judging from my partner's experience. And sometimes just a black shirt is more functional for a guy if you don't have a proper ballroom shirt just in your closet that you don't use. Dress shirt I was talking about. Yes. And that's very important because in the future it kind of teaches you manners when you're going to a well-dressed place, maybe a party or a certain event. You already have it in your system. You already know how to dress nice. You don't really have to think hard about it. And you just will feel more comfortable and more confident in what you're dressed with. Next, this also touches kids. When kids learn it at a young age, it stays in them for much longer, and it's easier to teach them than, let's say, a teenager who has been always dressing in ripped jeans and crop tops or very stereotypical from, I would say, boomers, I'm sorry, saggy jeans. I unfortunately have seen that a lot as well. I thought that was not a trend anymore, but I was wrong. Yes, but still, I think when kids learn it early on, it kind of stays with them. It's the new normal for them, and it just looks nicer. Also, I would say when you are wearing proper ballroom attire, it completely changes your attitude in class. I've seen kids who are wearing colorful shirts. They will be acting slightly maybe over the top. They wouldn't be listening. They'll be playing around. But kids who are dressed more strictly will listen most likely, probably behave more and everything. Again, this is from personal experience. Everyone's different. This is just what I saw. Also, let's see. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Um, different hobbies. Different hobbies really do help ballroom dancing and vice versa. Ballroom dancing does help the hobbies that you have. It could be soccer, it could be drawing, pottery, just anything that you can name. Both benefit each other. I think Ricky likes to mention that different styles of dance do benefit ballroom and vice versa. If you've danced hip hop, contemporary, ballet, jazz, tap, it's all ballroom has small aspects of each style. And once you get older, let's say in youth and under 21 and amateur, you can build your personal style based on the different dance styles like hip hop, like I mentioned before. Your personal style that's unique, not something that you try to copy of like a different, more successful dancer or like a champion. And um other hobbies, like I said, football, soccer and football and all the all the sports, swimming, anything really helps ballroom because they build your physique, stamina, your strength, and everything. Um, pottery, I just something that came to my mind. It exercises your creativity. So is drawing, singing, and anything related to music. Really helps you starting out. You will have way less problems counting the music, syncing your steps to the music, and everything. I have noticed that kids who play piano or sing, it's way easier for them to dance to the music than kids who have never touched an instrument in their life. And I'm always saying kids, it's just I teach a lot of kids and there's not a lot of more older people. Older, I mean like 20 and up. That's not really old, but still middle-aged people. um, they have obviously more experience than the kids. And why I focus on the kids a lot is because they're very unique. Every kid has their own like ideas that they're trying to pull through. And as a teacher, that's very, very interesting to watch. How, for example, I teach ballet and sometimes I substitute for contemporary. If I would give them an improvisation piece, I always love to watch what they come up with. And I love seeing that because I know that in the future they'll be less like weirded out when people would ask them, it's like, hey, can you show me like a few dance moves? They'll be so much more confident with themselves and everything. And I love watching that. And same thing goes to us. I've had people ask me to show me a few dance moves, and I could on the spot teach them just a few basic steps that they could just dance and have fun from. And maybe those, if you teach like a few people that you've talked to a few steps, maybe it would maybe like love for ballroom bloom in their life, like we talked about in the previous podcast. But yes, that is very important in our life. Um, Another thing, just discipline and behavior. I remember from different ballet studios and ballroom, not ballet, yes, ballet studios, contemporary and hip hop studios that I was at, they would have a system because all studios were based on Nutcracker, and then they would sometimes add some jazz into it to make it interesting for the little kids. They would have a strict, how do I try to call it? Strict system that they went by. For example, if you came late to class or you came unprepared for class, meaning you weren't dressed properly, your hair wasn't done, girls have had to have always buns. Guys would have to have brushed their hair, hairsprayed it. For example, if you had longer hair, it needs to be put away properly. And if you made those mistakes, you'll be marked down. And at the end of the year, when it's time for the Nutcracker, if you've accumulated a certain amount of points, you won't be able to participate in the show. And gladly, our studio has obtained this system, which is very good because now it's way easier to control kids who are sometimes out of hand. And again, at a younger age, it teaches them discipline, teaches them manners, well behavior, and everything. Later on in life, it will just be easier for them. And it's easier for us. We learn different ways of how to deal with kids. Some kids, when they hurt themselves, it's easier to just tell them some jokes and they will start laughing and laugh everything off. Or just some things, you just got to calm them down, maybe give them a hug or just bring them to their mom and that calms them down. Again, different kids have a different approach that works for them. And this goes on to ballroom as well. Different students need a different way of teaching. For example, myself, my coach had to yell at me in order for me to understand things. My sister, who is my partner, she needs to be physically corrected. Like if her foot has not turned out, the coach better. And that's the wrong way of putting it. It's better for the coach to come and physically fix her foot in the way it should stay because it works better for her. Some other kids I know or students, it's better to explain it for them just verbally and give different examples, as many examples as you can. And at some point, it's going to click for them. So that's interesting because it also brings onto life itself. When you are talking to different people or explaining things to different people just in the real world, you can use those techniques that you used with students of your own, or just maybe teaching your fellow classmate, like in your studio, like if they don't understand something and you're trying to help them out. In the real world, you're going to be easier talking to other people and forming bonds with other people. Speaking of forming bonds with other people, I think that coming up to my competitors during the competition and talking to them and getting to know them personally really helped me, because then the competition didn't turn into, oh, I have to beat that person because for my personal reasons. It turned into, hey, let's have fun together on the floor. We're just dancing for ourselves. It doesn't really matter who wins, which I think is very important, because then your stress levels really lower, your anxiety lowers then, because you're dancing with a friend on the floor. You're dancing with someone that you know. You're way more comfortable on the floor and everything. And that really goes on to everything else. If you get like a 9-to-5 job or any job in general, get to know your coworkers, because working with them is going to be so much more easier when you know, I don't know, what their favorite pet is and everything. So you could build special bonds with other people. It'll definitely help you in life, keeping everything more comfortable with other people. But yeah, that's Ricky. Anything you would like to add so far?
I mean, I definitely would agree with the kind of getting to know your competitors thing. A lot of time as competitors, people react to a competition scenario in different ways. Some people get anxious, some people get stressed, some people freeze up. Some people find it very easy to compete and they don't worry about who they're dancing against. And if you are one of the people who kind of sometimes it's not always easy to just get out on the floor and just dance for yourself, and you can end up maybe getting caught up on the competition, what the possible placements might be, who you're dancing against, and whether you know the competitors or not. I find that it is so much better when I at least can talk to my competitors on a personal level, not just about like, oh, what are your marks? How far did you get in the competition? Like, I'm talking like big international competitions. In America, there's a pretty good chance that you're probably going to know almost every competitor you're dancing against. Maybe not know them personally, but you kind of know about them because it's a pretty small industry and everybody knows everybody basically. But to get to know them more on a personal level, it is such a treat. Some of the people that I've met in this industry that I've competed against have been some of the most beautiful, genuine people I've ever met in my life. And I'm so grateful to have that connection with them, even though we live thousands of miles away on opposite sides of the country. And even if we did grow up competing against each other, when you're not going to have a best friendship with every competitor. Definitely not. There's no room for that. But if you can at least get to know some of your competitors, you know what they're going through, they know what you're going through, and you can kind of comfort each other in that and just maybe talk about something other than the competition when you're at the competition and just get comfortable and you feel like you're around your friends. Sometimes it gets so close in it that you really feel like you're with your family, and that just makes the competitive experience that much better. When you're going out there and you know you're there to compete, you're there to win, to improve, to have a good mark, to enjoy your dancing. But on the flip side of that, you also understand that you're not in control of the results. You're not the one writing down the numbers. So in the end, you should really be at the competition to enjoy your dancing. And I think the best way to do that is enjoy the people that you're around. Enjoy the people you're dancing against. Enjoy the people that maybe you're not dancing against them in that competition, but maybe they're a level below you or a level above you. Get to know them. And it creates a much more friendly and loving environment at a dance competition, because sometimes it can get very high stress. It can be very very goal and placement oriented, and we can get upset very easily. Some couples easier than others, and I think it can improve you and it can change you when you are able to make those connections with your competitors from a young age, or even now if you went to an international competition and you got to meet and talk with some of your competitors there, you can make that connection. And that can be a friendship for the rest of your life. You really don't know how far it can take you and how close that person can be with you. And it just, being in this industry gives you so many opportunities to make those amazing friendship connections that you might not have otherwise.
Yes, I completely agree with what you just said. Yes, about international competitions. Quick story. When I went to Blackpool, we had the luxury of competing in the European Championship, which gave us a chance to get used to the floor, get used to the environment and everything, get used to the audience and the amount of couples on the floor. After that, competing in the actual Blackpool festival was much easier, and we were less stressed. We knew more of what we were doing and everything, and competing there really, we really understood what's the biggest competition, what's the scariest competition, that all the other competitions were just like a practice competition for us. Obviously, we still had some nervousness because we don't want to let down our teachers, all of our coaches and everything, and our parents that sacrifice so much for us. But competing after Blackpool has been so much more easier and way less stressful. So I would definitely recommend, if you get the opportunity to compete in Blackpool, definitely take it, because it's a definitely unforgettable experience. So, yes. Well, that's about it for today. Happy holidays, everyone. Hope everyone's staying safe and warm. Reiki, would you like to finish us off?
I really hope that you guys enjoyed listening to this podcast. Yes, again, happy holidays to everyone. We hope that you're staying safe, you're with your loved ones, and you can enjoy the holiday season to the fullest capacity with your family, your friends. Of course, we hope everyone is staying safe and healthy, and that make sure to tune in next week for part 2, which I'll be talking about my experience, how I feel the industry has influenced my personality, my life from a young age, and where I'm going in my future. And we both hope that you really enjoyed listening to this episode and hope to talk again in the future. Let us know if you have any thoughts, comments, your experiences on this. If you have any questions for us, you can always reach out to us on our social media here on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook. Of course, you can find us on Spotify, on Apple Music, and we are really looking forward to growing this podcast series with you guys and are thankful for every listener.
Thank you, guys. Goodbye. See you next week.